Hi everyone, it's Karen here and so glad you came back to my channel. I have a new tutorial today where I created a set of snow globe cards with little snowmen inside, perfect for the holiday season. These stamps are by Brutus Monroe, both the snow globe and the snowman, and they're just adorable and I really loved creating these. I bought the snow globe a while back, and then I was lucky enough to have Brutus Monroe send me the little snowmen so I could include them in the snow globe. This is the empty snow globe, so you could add any image you want inside. However, there are some snow globes that have different cities from the United States, and they're really beautiful as well. It also comes with a die cut that matches the snow globe perfectly. What I did is I grabbed a bunch of papers and cut them into an A2 sized card, and I also grabbed some fun foam in white and I actually cut it also. I cut the snow globes inside and measured to make sure that I was cutting in the same space as the actual paper. I created two sets of cards. One of them just had the snow globe sticking out on top of the card, and the other ones are shaker cards. And to create the shaker cards, I needed to have some kind of space where I could put the shaker elements. So I used heat resist acetate and stamped the snow globe on top of two pieces of acetate with white umbrella craft ink, and then let it dry. That helps to seal the area where the snow globe is going to be set in the shaker cards. I did attempt to stamp it with white StazOn, but it actually didn't work as well, and I wasn't able to stamp them as well as I did with the dye ink from Umbrella Craft. So I really was happy with the way they came out. And then I used my stamp chamois to just clean up my stamp really well. The next step was to stamp some of the snowmen. But in order to do that, I wanted to have the snowman inside the snow globe. So I had to take the empty snow globe die cut and measure where the snowman is supposed to be. So I just placed it on top, then added my snowman, pressed the platform, the stamp platform, and then moved the actual snow globe and just left the paper behind. The good thing is that it lines up perfectly, so I can just stamp the image. I used Archival ink, black Archival ink, to stamp the image, and it came out beautifully. The paper I used is by Hammermill, and I actually will list all the products below in the description area. This paper is made for alcohol marker coloring, but it works for many different mediums as well because it's really nice and smooth. I wanted to make 4 different cards because there is 4 different snowmen in the actual stamp set. So I used one of each of the images for each of the cards. Here I am stamping the second image on the empty snow globe. I just love the one with the skis. That one is my favorite. It's just so adorable, and I love how it will be inside the snow globe in the background. Finally, I stamped the last 2 snowmen on top of the actual snow globe die cuts. And this was a little bit more challenging. I should have thought of it in advance and maybe stamped it before I had cut, but I didn't do that. So I used my magnetic bar and just held it at the bottom and then stamped it the same way. And it actually worked perfectly, so I was really happy with how it turned out. The last thing I did is I took one of the pieces from the snow globe that goes at the bottom and kind of creates the floor underneath the images, and I just stamped it on each one of the snowmen, basically underneath them. This helped grounding them, and so they won't look as if they're flying in the air. Since I stamped with dye Archival ink, I knew that it would dry quickly. So I took my Faber Castell watercoloring pencils and started putting some color into the snowman. I used my Pentel water-filled brush to blend in the colors. And it was just coloring the different snowmen and just adding little highlights to the buttons, to the nose. And I'm just showing you how I'm coloring a couple of them because I use the same technique for all of them. When you're using watercolor pencils, it's good to start with the lightest color and only add a little bit at a time. So you blend in the rest and it creates a watercolor effect. So you can start at the edges by adding the darker color and then blending it with the water brush as it goes towards the middle. For darker areas like the buttons or the nose, you can definitely just color in without having to blend anything. But when you want to do the inside of the snowman, I started with the lighter blue and then I went in with the darker blue and kind of created that shadow as it goes in. I did the same thing with the floor with the gray. To color in the snowman for the shaker card, I did the exact same thing in terms of shading and just added different colors to the snowman. For this one, I also wanted to add some light blue in the background. So I took the dye that comes with the set just so I know where the outline is for the snow globe, and I can add the shading of the blue to create kind of the water inside the snow globe. I realized that I got some ink on one of the snow globes, so I took my mono eraser and just removed it by sanding it a little bit and removing the excess. Then I took the blue watercolor pencil again and just added a little bit of water-like background and shading on my snow globe. And I did this for all of them. I wanted to stamp the snow globe pattern on top of the snowman to make it look as if the snowman is inside the snow globe. However, this task was difficult as I couldn't find a place to put my magnet. I was trying to put it in the center, but it kept on getting stuck to the actual stamp. So I tried to figure out what to do, and I was going to stamp it with a dark color from the Umbrella Craft collection, which is the cobalt blue, and I did attempt to put it on the stamp. That's why you'll see the stamp much darker blue. But then I ended up taking the Aqua color, and what I did is instead of having the magnet there, I actually took my tape runner and glued it to the background, and that helped it keep in place. Then I made sure I measured again where the snow globe goes, and using my Aqua color from the Umbrella Craft collection from scrapbook.com, I actually stamped the snow globe on top. However, I did realize that I made a mistake because I should have wiped the little area that goes behind the snowman because the lines came in front of it and I couldn't remove that. So I did not make the mistake for my second snowman. I actually did the same thing. I glued it to the background, measured, but this time when I actually went to stamp, I took a wipe and removed the area that goes behind the snowman. That way I could actually create it as if the snowman is inside the snow globe and make it look 3D. And you can see here it came out a little bit better. Bad mistakes happen, and that's okay, and I just roll with it. And I didn't want to create a whole snowman from the beginning, so I just did that. I took each one of the papers and I actually ran it through an embossing folder to create some pattern in the background. And then I took my fun foam, and these are the ones that I cut through with the die cut, and it cuts beautifully through my Vagabond machine. And also I've done it in my Sizzix Big Shot, so both of them work. I took some art glitter glue and just glued two of the fun foams together and then the snow globe on top. I really wanted to create that 3D effect, and this is a great way of doing it, and it's pretty cheap to do because the fun foam is not expensive. And I just glued this to the center of my card. I did this for both cards, and then I was done with the ones that were just a snow globe on its own. For the shaker cards, I stuck the acetate with some tape on the back of the card so I would have it sealed when I put the shaker elements inside. I also took the two layers of fun foam and glued them to each other, but I did not glue them to the actual card yet because I wanted to make sure that everything was dry before I added the shaker elements, otherwise they would stick to the glue. I realized that the white on the acetate was really light, so I took the same stamp and went ahead and stamped blue on top of the acetate to create the snow globe in a blue color. However, I don't know what happened, but I must have not let it dry properly because it ended up smudging a little bit on top of my card. It still looked really good, but I didn't like the fact that it was smudging. And I think if I would have maybe let it dry longer or heat set it, it would have been better because the white was perfectly fine and the blue one, which is the same company and everything was the same, was smudging everywhere. So I don't really know what happened. but that's okay. I still went with it and continued. As usual, I make mistakes on all the cards I make, as you've noticed in my videos. So that's okay. I always roll with it, and the card at the end turns out really nice. This time I glued the double layer fun foam to the actual background where my snowman was. I made sure that I measured and matched up the actual snow globes to the fun foam because I had cut them in different places, so I wanted to make sure that it's the right one for each of the cards. I let this dry really well, and then I added some sequin inside my snowman area. So what was nice about this fun foam is that it kept that sequin inside and it helped with keeping it all contained. Then I took my tape runner and just glued the back of my card or the front of my card to the fun foam, and that contained everything inside the shaker card. I really wanted to matte my card in blue, but I also wanted it to have a white background from the base of the card. So what I did is I ended up trimming all the cards to a smaller size so I could have 1/8 of an inch of the blue cardstock, and then on top of it 1/8 of an inch around the card in white. So that way there were 3 layers. And the measurements are still for an A2 card, but they just fit 1/8 of an inch from the border for each of the layers. Then I took a blue cardstock and just created the background for my white stamp sentiment. Of course, I assembled all the cards the same way. I took the beautiful Christmas sentiment from the Snowmen set and stamped it on strips of white paper that I had left over, and I glued those to the cards on top of the blue cardstock and then cut the excess. I recently got this tape runner from Umbrella Crafts from scrapbook.com, and I must say that it's really good. I've used many different kinds, and this one really is really smooth and it's really easy to apply compared to other ones that I've used in the past, so I really recommend it. Finally, I added some Nouveau glitter drops on the background of the cards just to add a little bit of embellishment and just fun glitter to the background. I also tried to hide some of the areas where I had made the mistake with the blue ink and that where it ran onto my card, so that was a great way to hide that as well. I also added a little bit of shimmery clear Stella with my pen, and I only managed to do it for the 2 that were open because I had forgotten to do it for the shaker card. But it added a really nice glittery effect to the snowman, and I really like that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my cute little snowman snow globe cards, perfect for the holiday season. I really love this Brutus Monroe set of snowmen, and also my favorite snow globe that I really like, especially because with the stamp and the die set, so those are perfect for making any type of card. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. For more inspiration, subscribe to my newsletter on my website and subscribe to my channel above. Thank you. Bye.